So when I was trying to explain to Mark what made something part of the creative process to my way of thinking, I realized that there is an output to the process. There's a certain point in the creative process where you can go, ta-da, and you pull the cover off, and roast leg of insurance salesman, yum yum. It's an old Flanders and Swan restaurant. It's okay. But there's something at the end of it. There's a new conversation. There's a new painting. There's a new song. There's a new piece of writing. There is a new product. There's a new something. So how does something go from formless to form? Where do our products, our outputs, come from? What is it that allows us, that assists us in creating something from nothing? Or in creating something new from something old? Now, hopefully, rather than waiting for me to tell you the answer to that, right? That's a point. Remember yesterday, those of you who were here yesterday, I talked about pointing? That's a point to where to look. If you can answer that question for yourself through insight, if you can see something true about that, it's going to change your relationship with it. It's going to open something up in you and for you that is going to make the creative process much easier, much more fluid, much less mysterious and much more ordinary, much less a gift from the gods, and much more everyday. Now, I don't want to take away, it doesn't take away the magical feel of it. It still blows me away. We were talking about writing this morning. I mean, I've done 12 books now. I've done, and people say, wow, you must really love writing. I really don't. I don't dislike it. Some days I think it's fun, some days I don't. But boy, do I love to read what I've written. Because it's not there until it comes into form. And it's looking for yourself, seeing for yourself whatever you can see about, well, where is it before it's on paper? Where is it before I start talking about it? Right? Where was that before you started to articulate it? As she articulated it, it started to take form. It started to become tangible. She started to see it. Halfway through her description, she went, oh, yeah, that's it. So the very act of articulation began to bring the formless into form. Now, that's not the only way, but that's one of the ways that we use thought, that we use this creative spiritual energy to bring the formless into form. And it's the same thing. So an artist will start to sketch something out. And then as they sketch, they'll start to see, oh, it's kind of, and then they can then create from that. And so as you bring it into form, as you bring this formlessness into form, you start to see it. And then and more thought comes and you go, oh, this is this, or this could be this, or I wonder what it would be like if this was this. And then you can begin to play with it. And then at some point, and you mentioned this, Jackie, at some point, you decide you're done. You know this is done. Not that I couldn't necessarily do more. Maybe I could. But this is complete. This energy is complete, at least for now. There may be a new iteration of it. Right? My first book, 13 drafts. 13 solid drafts. It was 125,000 words, wound up being 62,000. Inside Out Revolution, it was only a couple of drafts, 3 drafts, but the third draft had I did like a rough count, and it was about 45% of version 1 was in the final version. Now, for me, that wasn't daunting. That was the fun of it. Is I got to go back to the well. I got to go back to the source. Now, this time I brought something with me. So instead of starting completely cold, I had a form, and I took the form back to the well. I took the form back into the space. I took the form into the fields of the Lord, right? And I let that creative energy do something with that. So now there was already some shape. I remember somebody telling me about candle making. I don't know if this is true, but I liked it as a metaphor. That they have a wick, and you dip the wick in the wax, and a bit of wax will stick to it. So now there's a bit of form on it. And then when it goes back into this liquid, and you pull it out, more has stuck because there's more surface area. So now more wax is stuck to it. And each time you do that, because you're taking more form into the formless, something new comes out. And then you start to shape it in the form. Now that's how everything is created. Whatever your tools, whatever your medium, that process is always the same. From formless to form, to formless to form. From nothing to something, to nothing to something. Discuss.